It started the same way so many modern stories do. A headline, a number, a sentence designed to make people freeze mid-scroll. It read, "The real poverty line is $140,000. For some people, that number landed like a slap. For others, it felt validating. For most, it was confusing in a way that lingered. Because $140,000 doesn't sound like poverty. It sounds like success. It sounds like comfort. It sounds like winning the game. And yet, when people sat with it for a moment, a strange thought crept in. Then why do so many people earning good money still feel like they're barely holding it together? That's the question this story is really about. Not whether $140,000 is the poverty line, but why the idea doesn't feel completely absurd either. To understand how we got here, we have to rewind the timeline. The official US poverty line was created in the 1960s. It was based on a simple formula. Take the cost of a bare bones food diet and multiply it by 3. Why 3? Because at that time, food made up about 1/3 of a household expenses. That made sense then, but the world has changed. Food got cheaper relative to income, at least. Housing, healthcare, childcare, education, and transportation all exploded. And yet, the poverty line stayed anchored to a model built for a different era. It's like using vanilla wow stats to balance a modern raid. Technically, the numbers still exist, but they no longer describe how damage is actually taken. So, where did the $140,000 number come from? Well, it wasn't pulled from thin air. It came from people trying to answer a real question. What does it actually cost to live a minimally decent life today? Not luxury, not extravagant, just housing in a safe area, childcare that allows parents to work, healthcare without constant fear, transportation, food, taxes. When researchers and writers added up the real modern expenses in high-cost metro areas, the number got shockingly large. Not because people were living lavishly, but because the floor rose, the minimum viable build for expenses. And suddenly, someone earning $120,000 didn't feel rich. They felt exposed. Now, here's where the story gets important. Economists looked at the $140,000 claim and said, no, that's not poverty. And they're right, technically. Poverty has a specific meaning. It refers to deprivation so severe that basic needs cannot be met. Someone earning $140,000 is not poor, by any serious definition at least. Calling them poor collapses the meaning of the word. If everyone is poor, then poverty disappears as a concept, and the people who are truly suffering become invisible. So, economists aren't wrong, but they're also not answering the feeling people are reacting to. Here's the truth hidden underneath the argument. People don't feel poor at $140,000. They feel financially fragile. They feel like one job loss breaks everything. Like one medical issue ruins them. One rent hike destabilizes their entire life. That isn't poverty, but it also isn't security. It's like having full health but zero armor, and no healer in a party. You're technically alive, but one crit ends everything. For decades, the middle class was defined by margin, room to save, room to absorb shocks, room to make mistakes. Today, many people earning good money have no margin at all. The middle class didn't become poor, it became tight, compressed, stressed, and one patch away from complete and total chaos. So when people see a $140,000 poverty line, they're not agreeing with the math, they're reacting to the loss of breathing room, the disappearance of the buffer zone. This is the distinction that matters. Poverty equals not enough to survive. Precarity equals surviving, but barely, and always one hit away from total collapse. America has both. The official poverty line misses huge parts of lived reality. The $140,000 number exaggerates the label, but together they reveal something important. Our economic language is outdated. We have words for poor and rich, but very few for technically okay but consistently anxious. That's the new normal. When definitions break, policies break. If poverty looks smaller on paper than it is in life, help arrives too late, or not at all. If everyone who's struggling is told, well, you're not poor, their pain gets dismissed. And when pain gets dismissed long enough, people stop trusting institutions altogether. This isn't about redefining poverty upward. It's about recognizing how cost of living transformed the game. The difficulty slider moved. The UI didn't update. So, no, the poverty line is not $140,000. But the fact that so many people paused at that number and said, yeah, that kind of tracks, should worry us. Not because they're poor, but because they feel unprotected. The real story isn't about redefining poverty. It's about a society where even winning doesn't feel safe anymore. And until we fix that, the numbers will keep getting stranger and the arguments much louder. Remember, stay thoughtful, stay curious, and don't let broken definitions convince you that your experience isn't real.